this computer. Welcome. It is Wednesday, November 10th, 2021. This is the Central Florida Computer Society's Linux Special Interest Group. And here is our agenda. Our agenda for this evening, we are in the informal discussion phase. We've got some interesting things to talk about tonight. I don't know if we'll complete everything depending on how much interest and back and forth we have in each section, but that's why we call this a special interest group instead of a workshop or a presentation. So tonight we will talk about Pop! OS. And I had proposed at one of the previous meetings that we do a distro of the month, and then Sean suggested that it might be too much to do one every month, and I thought that was a good idea. So my target is once a quarter, more or less. We'll see how that works out. And especially since Sean has Pop! OS installed on one of his computers, so we've got another resource to talk about it tonight. A very quick presentation of putting Microsoft TrueType fonts into your Linux distribution. And then we'll do a little back and forth discussion, query, Q&A, whatever is on your mind Linux-wise. Then we will talk about sharing files between computers, which Tim brought up at his Chicago Computer Society last night, and sent me a couple of links, which I tried, and then continued to follow some of the links that I had looked at. And somewhere mid-afternoon, I was able to actually solve the problem that has escaped me for the last year. And I was able to share files from a Windows 10 computer to my Linux computers, plural. And then I was able to share files from my Linux computers to my Windows 10 computer. So we will talk about that. I'll go through as much detail as I can. And this may be a recurring topic as we get into people trying it and going through the various techniques. Then a quickie on doing an installation of a Brother multifunction printer, which had been automatically identified for printing purposes in my Mint, but it wouldn't scan. So I went through the process of figuring out how to download and install the drivers, and I got it to scan. And interestingly enough, when I was getting ready to present tonight, I did a very quick test on the computer that has Pop! OS installed, and it right out of the box would scan also. So it looks like each distribution is a little different in what it does with printers. So we'll talk about that. And then the usual discussion on resources and recommendations for topics. So I am going to stop sharing the screen at this point. We'll see if we've got anybody else waiting. I have a keyboard video mouse switch, so I can switch back and forth between two other computers, which you'll see on the screen. The computer I'm on now, looking at, you see me sideways, I guess. I'm looking at my HP desktops monitor, and then sitting in front of it, I have our CFCS Lenovo, which has Pop! OS on it. So we'll be sharing the screen on that quite a bit tonight. Any comments before we get started? Okay. Okay, I'll go back to sharing my screen again. So, distro of the quarter. Pop! OS. frankly, I'd never heard of it before when I started looking at Linux until Sean mentioned that he had put it on one of his Macs. And since then, I've seen quite a bit of information on it. So the phrase that the distributors or the publishers use is fast navigation, easy workspace organization, and fluid, convenient workflow. These are the references that I used. The website, some videos, a very interesting review, which gives some tutorial capability, and screen captures of the installation and so on. Now, Donna had said to me, Mike, you guys put all this stuff in and it's already set up, and I have no idea what you did to get to where you were going. Right, Donna? So I am going to show you screen captures of the installation of Pop! OS on the Central Florida Computer Society's Linux. So this was done with my cell phone camera. First, I went to the website to the download page. We all know you have to get the ISO, download it, and then install it on preferably on a USB stick. So in the case of Pop! OS, they have two versions right up front, a light version, I guess. Oh, no, long-term. This is long-term support, LTS. And then the current one, which is updated on a regular basis. And then from that, they also have an NVIDIA version that supports separate NVIDIA chips and graphic cards. So it's been optimized for NVIDIA. So you probably want to check your hardware before you consider installing this and see whether you've got Intel or AMD, Radeon, or if you've got NVIDIA or something else anyway, and download the correct one. Its minimum requirements are 2 gigs of RAM, which most computers are going to have, 16 gigs of storage, and it is a 64-bit processor system. This is the screen that you get after you've downloaded, used your utility to create the USB flash drive, and then booted into the flash drive, either using one of the function keys on your computer or the smart advanced restart if your computer is a Windows computer and you're taking a look at it on a USB stick. And they walk you through the keyboard and the languages, and if you're English language, if you wish, you can even have well, it looks like you can have a Dvorak keyboard, which I probably wouldn't be able to do. Interesting. English Macintosh would have been interesting to ensure that the keyboard is lined up. Then you can do a clean install or you can do a custom install. And a lot depends on, if this is going to be a long-term installation and you really want to set up the partitions yourself for the computer, have your root partition, have your home partition, have your swap partition, and so on. For what I'm doing tonight and for the next 90 days, more or less, I just did a clean install, having backed up an image backup of the Lenovo using Macri and Reflect onto a hard drive. So I just installed it, cleaned everything. So this is me choosing clean install. It detected the internal drive, which on the Lenovo is 128 gigabyte, 119 available. And I also had my backup drive plugged in at the time, so it did also detect the Hitachi. But it does point out, if you don't want to overwrite the main computer and you want to more or less have a dual boot capability, but on a different drive, you could choose a different drive to install it, including an SD card, if you wish, that you might have had plugged in. So we erased and installed. We got to the point of setting up the name of the computer and the username, password. It's extracting the files and installing. It's configuring the system. It's setting up the system and asking to restart. Restarted, it booted now to the drive, which is the internal SSD. It came up with the login, default CFCS, asked for the password, and said, welcome. That's actually scrolling across in all kinds of interesting different languages, just scrolling across the welcome screen. And you can see it's got a very Mac-like desktop as you look at it initially, or Windows 11-like, depending on what your choice is. It asks for the keyboard, which I just defaulted to English. It asked where I wanted my dock to be, no dock, or a dock extending completely to the edges of the screen. Let's see if I can get my mouse in here. There we go. So you can see fully to the edge of the screen, and this is all dock space, or slightly above it, which I actually wanted it to be here so that I could then auto hide and have it pop up and down if necessary. Then it has a top bar, which Windows and very Ubuntu does this. It's not considered a panel, but it does have an application for Workspaces, applications, and information on the computer and some drop downs. It took me a while to find out that the power shutoff actually drops down from one of these positions. It wasn't obvious. It shows that the center screen, when you press the super key, opens up a launcher. It says that gestures work for easier navigation. At the moment, the Lenovo computer is not doing any of these gestures. Now, I am using a mouse and a keyboard with it, and it may be that I've got to disconnect the mouse and the keyboard, and then we would then be able to use the gestures. I'm not sure, but you're going to have a touchpad for that. It did detect Wi-Fi as part of the setup process. The router here in my office is called ASUS. It also picked up my neighbors and actually picked up one of my printers' Wi-Fi too. And we logged in. Initially turned location services off. Wanted to know where we were. Gives you the opportunity, if you wish, depending on your orientation, as to whether you want big tech accounts attached. I chose none, but as you can see, they've got major ones like Google and Microsoft and some social media. And it said it's ready. And that's what the screen came up and looked like. And let me come out of this. Let's see. There we go. Switch back to, let me see where we need to go here. Okay, so I am going to come out of the slideshow and I'm going to go to, okay, so we'll take a look at very quickly at some of these websites which have some short videos that gives you an overview. So I'm going to switch to my browser. As long as I get to the right place, okay. So here is the System 76 website, who are the publishers of Pop! OS. System 76 also is a computer manufacturer. So they will sell you computers, as you can see, and you can get them with Pop! OS already installed if that's what you wish to do. They give you some of the major benefits. We'll take a quick look at a couple of these. And I forgot to do the audio sharing, so hang on a moment while I do this again. And share my screen again, hopefully. Okay, let's see here. Share screen, share sound, screen 2, share. Okay. So we will go directly to the short videos. Workflow and customization.
Pop! OS 2104 features a new, simple, and speedy desktop experience. Start with the launcher that's now front and center. Press Super or click the launcher icon in the dock. From here, you can quickly launch applications. You can also see which applications are already open and easily switch between them. Use the touchpad gestures to switch between open windows. Swipe 3 fingers in the direction of a window to move to it. Gestures can also be used to access workspaces and applications. Swipe 4 fingers left to open Workspaces, and 4 fingers right to open applications. The new dock can be configured in Settings. From here, you can contract or extend the dock, change its visibility, size, and position on the desktop.
And then how you can tile your spaces, kind of like tiling tabs in a browser, I would think, or having multiple programs open simultaneously on a Windows desktop.
Pop! OS auto tiling neatly organizes your desktop and makes it easy to navigate applications with your keyboard. Click the tiling menu at the top right of your screen and enable tile windows. Enable Show Active Hint to more easily identify the application that has focus. Clicking View All Shortcuts will open a reference to help you get started with auto tiling. Now start launching applications. They'll neatly tile in the available space. Use Super and your arrow keys, or use Vim shortcuts to change window focus. Pressing Super Enter activates window adjustment mode. From here, arrow keys will move your window. Shift and the arrow keys will resize your window layout. Control and the arrow keys will swap your window. Change the orientation of your windows with Super O. Make a window float, or reattached with Super G. You can even move a window with your mouse and tile it into your layout. Pop! OS auto tiling optimizes your workflow with intuitive shortcuts and smart window management.
And the Workspaces itself tutorial.
Workspaces serve to reduce window clutter, especially on small displays. Access the Workspaces and Windows view by clicking the Workspaces icon on the dock, or with a 4-finger swipe left on the touchpad. Here, you can reorganize your Workspaces and Windows to your liking. You can also view Workspaces and Windows using Super plus D. or by clicking the button in the top left corner of your screen. Pressing Super Shift plus up or down from your desktop will move a window to a different workspace. To switch between workspaces, use Super Control plus up or down, or swipe up or down with 4 fingers on the trackpad.
I think. Oh, this is stacking. Okay, it's similar how you stack things together.
Auto tiling on small screens can sometimes result in windows too small to be useful. Enter Pop! OS stacking. Super plus S converts a window to a stack. Use Super plus Enter and your arrow keys or Vim shortcuts to move windows in and out of the stack. Launching an application from the stack will add it automatically. Use Super plus left or right arrow keys to switch between windows in the stack. Move windows out of the stack and press Super plus S to convert back to a standard window.
So I have on the presentation a short 15-minute review that goes into some of the details of what they've just shown in those short familiarization. And I already have shown you the installation on the Lenovo, and now we get into the live demonstrations. What I'm going to do at the moment here is stop sharing here. It's interesting because what you're looking at is another distribution of Linux. And some of you have looked at different versions of Linux. I've seen Mint, I've seen Ubuntu, I've seen Zorin, and we showed Zorin at one of our meetings. I've looked at Windows FX 11. And all of them have been sort of different workspaces, different desktops. This one seems to focus in on the whole concept of using workspaces on a different basis. And I'm just curious, Sean, if based on what we've seen as their promotion and you've been using it, how long have you been using Pop! OS and what have you found in some of these features?
Well, I hadn't watched those videos, so I've already learned more than I knew before. Those were great. I have been using it probably for about 2 months, and I haven't been using it steadily. I pretty much stick to Mac, but it's fun. It's a very intuitive, polished operating system. I don't use those features with the different spaces. I like the concept, but I never, dexterity, I never really got used to being able to switch. The Mac does that too, and I don't use it on the Mac because I get confused. So it's a neat concept, and if you can grasp it, then all the power to you. So I keep saying to myself, I want to get used to use the spaces, or was it called Spaces in Pop! OS or Workspaces?
Workspaces, yeah.
Yeah, it's Spaces in Mac and Workspaces in Pop! OS. And of course, Pop! OS is a heavily modified version of Ubuntu.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they did a better job. It's a cleaner look. It's a more polished look. And it just seems to work. I don't have many problems with it. I haven't found a email program that I'm real crazy about yet. So I've been using my webmail instead. I host my own mail server, so I have webmail and I just use that. But I'm running it on a Mac, and of course the older Macs, this is a 2013 model, is an Intel. It's just a PC in essence. And the one thing with this Mac, when I installed Pop! OS, I believe that it didn't recognize the Wi-Fi. So I had to do some searching on Google, and I was able to find a package that makes it recognize the Mac specific Wi-Fi. And I installed that via terminal commands that I found on the website. But unless you have a spare Mac laying around, you probably won't run into that. And you said you had no problem with
Yeah, immediately it found it.
Wi-Fi. Yeah. I'm impressed by one of the things I'm impressed by, and this is not specific to Pop! OS. One of the things I'm impressed by is you install in Linux, whether it be Ubuntu or Pop! OS or Mint, and almost immediately when you create your account and you get logged in and see your desktop for the first time, it starts looking for printers and setting them up for you. So it's completely the opposite of Windows. Remember the old days of Windows where you had to actually go and download the driver and extract it and then add the printer, and you had to know exactly what to pick when you're adding the print. None of that happens here. And Windows and Mac have gotten easier, but this is the complete opposite. It just does it for you. You don't even have to worry about setting up a printer. And if a new printer is added to your network, I guess it polls the network once in a while and adds the printer for you. Maybe when you reboot the computer, it looks. But yeah, it's pretty neat. I can certainly share my screen if there's anything specifically that you want me to show you.
What I thought I'd do is share mine first and let you see that I haven't done anything to it other than a couple of I haven't even put icons on it and show you what the default icons are. And then for comparison, switch back to you and let you show us your screen.
Okay.
All
Yeah.
right. Okay, so I will switch computers and I will switch mice. Okay, and let's see what happens when I share my screen here. Yeah, let's see, it's going to let me do the desktop. Okay. Okay, pretty much what we saw. I left the background as it was, and I'm just going to move. Okay, we got the black boxes. Yep. Okay, let's see if I'll put this down here. Okay, so I got a black box down at the bottom, and what you're seeing up here at the top is the zoom control for UR screen sharing. I'm going to play with this myself when I have some time, because I've got at least 2 more months of using this before we take a look at something else. And I really want to see, especially with the workspaces, with the whole concept of workspaces showing up. If I go into workspaces, it'll show me I actually have 2 workspaces ready to go. So I want to see if it gets rid of those black bars. That's the video controls that just dropped in. By default, it gave me my home folder. And it's, came up with the file manager. It came up with trash. It recognized the Signature Mini, which is the backup, and mounted it. And I'd already played with, because I was able to find my Synology file server. It was one of the easiest methods of connecting a file server. So it's hooked up and it's there. And I'll go ahead tonight and use this for connecting to my Windows computer. Knock on wood, it's going to work. And then we'll take a look at the Windows computer and see if it sees this computer as well, based on some of the things that we came up with. If you just, this being the default up top panel, if you will, your dock, this is really considered the dock and not the panel. So this would be what's sort of held over from Ubuntu. So as I said, you get your workspaces, you get your applications set up in a very, I guess that's a Mac-like or a Chromebook-like, or now Windows 11 type display. And that same display on the dock comes up if you show the applications that are there. And then another workspace tool is here. And your launcher can pop up either here or right click. Well, I thought so. Okay, so it actually right click does not. Okay, right click doesn't do the launcher. Okay, I thought it did. It comes with Firefox. I installed Brave, the same methods that we've done in prior SIG meetings, by going to brave.com and then following the 4 terminal commands to install Brave. It comes with a Pop! OS shop, which is their software store. So they have their own shop, and some flat packs are available, and some of their own software. You can just go search for it. But I went looking for a couple of unique software items, and I was not able to find them in here. And so I wondered if the Synaptics package was available. And so I went and found the fact that, yes, I could get Synaptics. So I did install that. And the Synaptics was there. And this is how I got Samba to install, because even though I had some networking capability, which was interesting, it wasn't the full Samba share capability. And so what I did is I went to Synaptics and I searched on Samba. Hello. Let's see if it's here. Famous last words. There we go. I found it and I installed it. So now I had the full Samba capability. Now Linux Mint does come with Samba installed. And so did Zorin, and so did Windows FX. So this was one thing that wasn't there, but I know, Sean, you had stated that you had networking right out of the box without Samba. So
yeah, I'm surprised that you had to install that to get it to work.
Well, what I was looking for was, Sean knows that I'm a holdover from the old concept of Windows workgroups, which has been pretty much done away with in Windows 10 now with all the latest updates. You don't have to play with workgroups. But behind the scenes, workgroups are there as a domain. And everybody by default has a workgroup name of workgroup. And I had set up a work group called Assist because I had run a company called Compute Assist for many years. And so I had just set up my own work group. And I found I was not able to connect if I didn't change, especially trying to get Linux to connect, and especially to my Synaptic server. I was not able to get in without changing the workgroup to Assist. And I couldn't do it in Pop! OS because I didn't have the configuration file, which is why I installed it. Let's see, what else is right from the screen? Okay, up here, one more time, you get the workgroup tiling. So I have it turned off because, like Sean, I'm a little confused still on what happens when you tile the windows. But this is what turns them on and allows them to be tiled vertically or in stacks or all the things that we saw. So it's something that I'll investigate, and we'll probably, if there's interest and we're going to play with this for another couple of months, then we'll, I'll try to become more conversant in what it actually does. Zoom's running, so it's showing it as a running program up here in the panel. And down here in the dock, it's showing both Zoom running here. Then you get your controls, which I'm used to finding in the bottom right, but you get your speaker volume, your brightness. I am actually connected right now with an Ethernet cable to my router, but it has detected and did detect when I first logged in the Wi-Fi. Battery has never been good on this particular laptop. I guess it's a used laptop, and I guess they didn't change the battery out. But all right, Sean, did you know and find right away where the power off button was?
Yes.
Okay, I couldn't find it. Yeah, I had no idea where to look for it. I mean, I was looking down here, I was looking down here, I was looking here. Where's the power? So then I went in here and I typed in under search. I said power off. Okay, and I could actually get a function that let me turn the power off. So it wasn't until I looked at one of those videos, I think it was that 15-minute video, where the guy that was doing it said, yeah, it's on the drop down panel, power off, and you can suspend, restart, log out, etc. up here on the top. Let's see, what else can you do? Okay, you get a calendar. It's telling me there's an update available. Okay, a few other things.
It's
So
just beautiful. It's a beautiful, it's just a beautiful interface. I think it really works. It's really concise and
okay.
customized.
Let me let you share your screen and show. Tim, did you have something to ask?
Yeah, offhand, what you were referring to about finding the off area. When I'm looking at new distros, sometimes that occurs, but you got to remember, like Sean mentioned, this is a polished version of Ubuntu, and that's the way Ubuntu works, and that's how you get your power on and off, or restart, sign off, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay.
So it's one of those quirky things. There's a lot of similarity amongst all Linuxes, but there is a lot of differences, and it's very much like artist role with Linux. Everybody thinks that they've made the perfect looking working Linux distro from some base, polished it up in some fashion. Some of them make a very scant versions intentionally, because they know people will install their own software that they want to use, to those that have a medium distro, to those that have a whole bunch of software installed, and you delete what you don't want. To Sean, you were asking about a email program. Have you looked at Evolution?
I don't know if I have. Let's see. No, I don't think so. I will write that down.
Evolution, yeah, this goes way back quite a ways. It's supposed to be in the same vein as Thunderbird and Outlook on the desktop in Windows. So it's maybe that'll do with what you want to do.
Great. I will try that. Thank you.
Okay, and Sean, if you'd like to share your desktop, we'll see if we see anything that's different.
Okay. I'm using, I have another login on this group. I think that's the one that.
Oh, and I hadn't, let me see if I go to participants or make co-host. Okay, see if that did it. I went to both of them, so hopefully both of them are co-hosts now.
Okay. Let's see if it lets me. Let's see, select a window. desktop, I guess is what I want.
Yeah, it's switched.
Okay, good. Actually, I'm gonna search for that evolution. So move this down. So to install applications, I think, did you show this, Mike, about the pop shop?
I just popped it up, but I didn't look for it.
Okay, so this is this is the kind of the front page for the pop shop. And then you've got the installed apps up here at the top. You click on installed and it'll show you what you have installed, and it will show any updates that you have here as well. But I'm going to go into home and
Repository, that's what the word
Yeah.
escaped me. Yeah.
evolution. Okay, so I'll install evolution. So that'll be something to play with later.
Yeah.
One of the things,
Hey, Sean, I remember the evolution, I believe, was maintained by Novell and it was written by Novell. And,
Oh, wow.
So it was a super program. It's big, but
Is
it's
it?
super. But it's like Thunderbird that you can keep all your mail, offline. And it's a very nice program. It's just big.
okay, well, it installed pretty quick. which is
Okay.
good. Yeah. One of the things that Mike and I have been kind of going back and forth about is that he mentioned connecting to other devices on his network. And like I said, I'm a Mac guy, but I also have a Synology, as Mike does. And I set up a Windows, you can set up virtual machines on the Synology, and I set up a Windows virtual machine, and I shared out my home folder. So I'm going to try to connect to that here on Pop OS. So I have found the way to do that is just to go into your files, the Windows and over the location.
You're breaking up a little bit, Sean. Either that or I'm breaking up.
No, I think he's got an internet problem. It's causing him to freeze up.
Yeah, it could be the multiple accounts running at the same time. I
See,
think,
as long as we can talk, his had to be internet.
yep,
It had to be. I can hear you now.
okay.
I lost you. All right, let me try again. You can't see it. Okay, so share screen. Can you hear me?
Yep,
Okay. All right. So here we are on the, you can't see it, though, right? I got to reconnect to this. Return to meeting.
well, your screen is being shared, so you don't have to, you're
Oh,
in
it
the
is.
meeting.
Okay. Okay.
Yep. So
Okay.
just go to evolution and
Okay.
run it.
So here we are in, this is the file manager. I wanted to connect to my Windows
yep.
computer.
I see it,
And,
server Synology.
I don't see it listed here. I do see Windows Network.
Yeah.
I don't know if that'll get me there or not. I'm gonna click on it.
Most of the time that doesn't work. You've got to actually
So
go
down
to,
here at the bottom is a, yeah. So down here at the bottom, I can put in server message block. I think is that what it stands for? Server message block.
SMB. Mhm.
Yeah, and then the IP address is 127. So I'm going to try that. I just hit enter, and yeah, there we go. Okay, so it wants me to put my password in. So let me try. Now this is a virtual machine on my Synology. So yeah, it looks like it is letting me in. It's letting me get to the C drive. No, I didn't share that out. Okay. Oh, for Pete's sake. All right, let's try users. I did share out my home folder. Yeah. So here's my home folder on my Windows virtual machine. And documents. I guess I haven't used this machine much, but that was pretty simple to connect
Yep.
over to my Windows computer. If I know what the IP address is, I don't think I have a host name set up for this. Well, let me try it. Let's try it.
Well, you used Workgroup, and that's what it was looking for. So you did that, and you didn't have Samba installed, and that's interesting. Okay.
Extra on this laptop for that.
Yeah, it's breaking up again. Now you're back.
Did I drop off again?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's saying my internet connection's unstable. I wonder if I'm having a problem with one of my switches. Yeah, so I've used my host name as well.
And Sean and I have gone through this on my machine several times and noticed that, at least on my machine, I'm not able to use the descriptor, the / and then the machine name and then the folder for some reason. But if I use the IP address, I can connect. And that was the aha moment for me. We'll go through that a little bit later.
So yeah, so I was able to connect. I was able to connect with IP address or host name, but again, we've talked about.
Yeah, it's breaking up again, Sean.
Can you guys hear me?
Now I can, but every now and then you're and like right now you're frozen. Your video is frozen. Now it's back.
Okay, I must be having internet connection issues.
Okay.
So. On my desktop here, there's a bunch of files. These files all synchronize over from my other computers. I've mentioned in the past that I use a product called SyncThing. It's an open source, free synchronization tool, and you install it on each of your computers, and then you tell it what you want to sync. And I sync my desktops between all my computers. The nice thing is, it doesn't matter if it's Linux or Mac or Windows, it will just sync them over. And then I have access to those files that I want right now. I don't have to connect to a server to get to them. So
We'll have to have you give us a presentation on that at the TechSig, so we can actually see how it works.
yeah. So I also installed 1Password on Linux. And that's very helpful too, because I use long, complex passwords, and it's a must really to have password manager. And being able to install it in Linux was I actually wanted to you had to upgrade with 1Password. I had to upgrade the plan. I in the past I had just a license. I now have a subscription because they said that the subscription was that subscription plan gave you the ability to do that. They're getting away from individual licensing in 1Password. So overall, I think Pop! OS is just really a nice, polished OS. Of all of them that I've used so far, this has been my favorite. So
Well, I'll play with it, as I say, over the next 90 days, since one of their claims to fame is the management of your workspaces and the ability to switch and manage and so on. I really want to play with that. And I noticed I'm going to have to go back and look at the Windows 11 promo on announcement day. They were talking about very similar kinds of things, workspace management, and just compare what Windows 11 is proposing against what Pop! OS is proposing. And for what we do tonight, as for some of the other things, I'll be doing it in Pop! OS, but not using Pop! OS features per se. And the only thing I want to do when I get to the network sharing sessions is switch to the Mint computer and show how, using similar techniques, I connected both to the Synology file station and connected to the Windows computer, and then come back to the Pop! OS computer. So let me.
Quick question, Mike.
Sure.
Your Windows computers, are those Home Edition or Pro?
Pro.
Okay.
Yes, I have not. I don't think, no, I don't have any home. I'd have to load Home on something to see, you know, what it's worth. To my mind, if you're going to have Windows, you might as well have the Pro. So you have all of the capabilities. Let's go back here. And we'll share again. Okay, and we'll go to the next one. Okay, this will be just a very short time on this screen. I'm back on the Windows 10 computer for the presentation. One of the things I noticed using LibreOffice Write a number of times to write something on my notebook in my lap, especially composing something from scratch, I like to use Arial or Verdana as my font. And I noticed, hey, wait a minute, none of my Linux distros that I've looked at come with the Microsoft TrueType fonts. Okay, why not? Why can't I get them? So a DuckDuckGo search, as most people will do, Google or DuckDuckGo, came up with this website. And I think I have that. Let's just go ahead and pop over to it. Be here, and then here we go. Here we go. Okay, so it's Geek, the Geek World. And I thought it was a pretty good article. And they basically say the same thing. When using LibreOffice, you might want some TrueType fonts, especially if you're opening a document that was created in Word. And what happens is if you open it in, excuse me, in Linux, it's going to translate to the nearest font. So these fonts are not available unless you get a package. So they are talking about a package called MS Core. And I think I found it, pretty sure I found it. So let's stop sharing. And let's go back to the Pop computer and share the screen. And let's start where I did start, and that is with the store, which is Pop Shop, and I'm looking for MS Core. Okay. Okay, so I did not find it. So that was another reason to go to Synaptics. And there is the installer. And we're going to mark it. Mark for installation. And it looks like there's some additional packages required. Mark those as well. And apply. All changes are applied. Close. Okay, we'll close Synaptics Passage Manager. We'll open up LibreOffice. We'll open up Writer, rather. And, okay, so we'll go to Format. And where is font here? Famous last words, come on. Oh, here we go. All right, that's what I'm looking for. All right, so let's see if Arial is now in here. Well, unless it's keep going.
Yeah,
Is that
up.
up?
Oh, it's already at the top.
Yeah, it's at the top. I thought it was going to be right there. All right, let's see if I might have to restart. I don't want to restart it, but I might have to do that. How about Verdana? Lots of fonts anyway, but
Mm.
so I don't see. Okay, so strike one. On my Mint computer, it's doing it. So I'm not sure why. I'm going to have to double check, but that is the process. And it did work on my Mint HP and it did work on my desktop. Let's see if I actually have to do it from the package. Maybe it downloaded it, but it didn't actually run. Let's see if it's here. I don't see. So maybe it's under you. No, let's see. It was MS Core. MS Core fonts. MS. No. So it said I installed it, but it didn't. Okay. So strike one on this particular computer, but you have to take my word for it. It's working on my Mint computers, and I'll see if I can find out between now and next month why it's not doing it.
I
Go ahead.
find that it defaults to Arial when you add those MS Core fonts, Mike. It defaults. The default font is no longer one of those Ubuntu files. It's Arial.
Okay. Not sure what happened, but
yeah,
that worked. Okay, or that didn't work. Let's go back over here and see if we are done with that. Yeah, okay. So I bring up the slide that I generated last time. So it's break time, chance to chat among ourselves and go around the room, if you will, and let you all chime in as to what you're working on, what you're doing on, or the questions you haven't had answered from previous sessions that you might like to ask. So I'm just going to start with Donna because she's got her hand up. So unmute, Donna. Unmute. There you go. No, I see your hand up, but I see you're still muted. There you go. You're on.
Synaptics installed, or is that something we have to go get? I don't remember it, Mike.
If you look at your program menu in Mint, Synaptics is a choice.
Okay, I just didn't remember it at all.
Mhm.
All right. Other than that, I did my update to Linux. It seems like every time I turn my laptop on, there's updates and they install and everything works. Except I couldn't, I forgot where the mute button was. Anyway, I'm here and I even have video. I'm even here in video. So
Oh, good. Nice
good
to see you.
Everybody, we're in the kitchen And Mike, are we gonna, I hate to do this, but are we gonna be done at 6?
It is 8 o'clock here, which means it's what, 5 o'clock your time?
Yeah, it's 5 o'clock our time, right? It is
Well,
5.
I know you are specifically interested in the brother installation. So
Yes.
what I can do is skip the networking to last and just address that for you when we get back
We have
into the
theater
program.
tickets that we need the lead for, so
Okay,
anyway, appreciate it.
okay,
All right, thank you.
okay. Tim, I kind of know what you're involved with because I sat in on your meeting last night, but what would you, aside from what we've been doing as educators, what have you been doing in your own life, Linux wise?
I play with a lot of them. I've got at least a dozen or more that I play around with. And Pop OS was one of them on one of my machines. But I didn't know some of the features that you brought up tonight because I don't get into it that often. But periodically I go in, if nothing else, to just update them so that they stay reasonably current. So it's got some features that I didn't know before that. Workspaces, spaces, desktops, they're all talking the same thing. And basically, if you think back to Windows, older days, you had one single desktop. And if you were a multitasker, you had a whole bunch of programs open, sitting on top of one another, and you had to go through the frustration of bringing up to the top the one you wanted to work on immediately, like a copy paste or add some information in, et cetera, et cetera. And all the desktop stuff is on all the OSs now. And it gives you the ability to spread out your jobs over several different desktops, and you just use the flow motion of switching to the various desktops for the particular application you're looking for. It does take time to get used to. It's a headache in the beginning. The tiling and stacking that you showed, you're starting to see in 11 some of the tiling on 11. If you go up to the top right corner of a window, one of the things it'll do is it'll drop out a little small window of gray tile options, and you click on what you're trying to achieve, and it'll make your current program one of those specific tiles. And so that's new, that didn't exist in prior windows. They're all seemingly going that direction for the tiling effect. The stacking was a little bit different on the Pop OS. Sean commented about Pop OS being a very polished version of Ubuntu. Technically, so is Mint long ago. And in some aspects, so is Windows FX. So there's a lot of people that are taking Ubuntu as a base and making very polished versions that are have a lot of appeal to certain segments of the audience.
Now that's, it made the one thing that caught my eye in one of the videos, and it might've been that 15-minute video I mentioned, was in one of the arrangements, tile, stack, however, it made it to me look like a browser with multiple tabs. And as you went across the top, you could see 5 or 6 different windows of programs that might be opened at the same time, all on the same desktop.
Mm-hmm.
But you could just go to that tab list, click on the one that you wanted to make primary, it would open up. The header would still be there with the names of the other programs that had been chosen, work on the program you were working in and say, oh, I need to go to the browser and check something out. Go up, click on the browser, boom, it opens up, do your thing in the browser, get whatever you want to copy and paste, go back and you're back in your document and doing what you needed to do. So that sort of appealed to me.
Well,
Okay.
the funny part about that is in various file explorer type programs in Windows 11, and it's getting into 10 as well. They're turning the file managers into tab managers so that you can be looking at several different folders in file manager and flip between each one by just clicking on a tab, just like you do in the browser. So
Makes
it's
sense.
it's all evolving. Heck, I found a disk of mine with Windows 98. Eventually, if I ever get time before I die, I might get that running again, just as a comparison of Windows over 25 years ago versus what we have today, whether it's Windows, Mac, Linux of any version. And you can do the same thing in various Linuxes as well.
Yeah.
It's just a constant evolution.
Yep. Okay, thank you. Carl, you're joining us for the first time tonight. Welcome. What have you been
Thank
working on?
I'm looking to put Linux on a touchscreen notebook with Open Office. And so this has been a help with a couple ideas that had, such as fonts and email program.
Okay. Well, I know you're joining us about 3/4 of a year into the SIG itself. We started originally with the idea that we were just going to take a computer with nothing on it and pick a version, a distro of Linux, and we chose Mint, Cinnamon desktop, and install it, and then week by week look at the features and so on. So by August, more or less, we had progressed through all the basics of that and documented it in our videos. And when you joined today, I sent you, I think I sent you a link to the videos. If not, Donna had asked that I send out an email with all of the videos that we had published. So I'll do that. When I send out this video, I'll send out the list of all the videos we've done to date. So if you want to try to catch up, you're welcome to do so.
Thank you.
Bud, what's doing?
Not much. I haven't been doing too much exciting stuff. I did spend some time trying to share between Windows and Linux. Kind of was successful, then it's kind of failed, and I kind of got frustrated, and I haven't done anything with it since. So I'm kind of interested to see what you come up with later today.
Okay. Well, I look at the sharing concepts between computers as a intermediate project because it's still not an exact science. As Tim sent out today in his email, there are 2 other sites besides the one that I cited that said, here's how you can do it. And I tried some of the terminal commands that were recommended, and they all failed on me. So I had been, in fact, Sean and I had been working on this together, both using TeamViewer and other means to try to get the ability, first of our Synology file stations, disk stations, to be visible in both our Windows and our Linux computers, and then to get the Windows computer visible in the Linux computers, and then get the Linux computer visible in the Windows computer. So
Yeah, I ended up doing a network reset on the Windows computer, and that cleaned things up a little bit. But I think my problem that I've been running into is a Windows problem as opposed to a networking problem versus a connection problem, a sharing problem. But like I said, I haven't gotten back to it yet.
Okay.
One of the big things with the sharing on the Windows side, you got to look at your network settings. Windows, for reasons I don't totally understand, sets it up as a public access instead of a private access. And the Windows sharing of information on your network has to be on the private setting, not on public.
Yep.
That's one of the keys.
Yeah.
We'll sort of walk through that. Stu, what's happening?
Oh, I haven't done much on Linux, except I use it all the time. It is my desktop computer, and it is Linux Mint, and I use the Mate flavor of it. But it was interesting tonight listening to someone recommend Evolution. I used Evolution for a few years, and it was a very nice mail program, but you couldn't export information easily from it when I went to something else. And so I lost a ton of mail, and I'm still using really webmail for all my mail right now. But I'm interested in this Windows to Linux networking.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And Stan, I know you're with us tonight. Have you done anything at all with Linux, or are you just lurking?
I am just lurking. Sorry, too many other events, and I did learn some stuff that I'm curious to try. That pop, I'm going to try to put the pop thing on one just to see how that looks. So, but very interesting, and glad I attended.
Okay, good to have you here. Sean, other comments besides Pop OS?
I haven't been doing a lot with with Linux in the last month. I've got a client that's heavy on Windows computers, so I've been working more with Windows. And I did, for the first time, I know this isn't Linux related, but for the first time today, I used my virtual machine to use Quick Assist and assist somebody in another part of Orlando by just giving them the code, and they put it in, and I was able to remotely control their computer, all for free, which I thought was pretty cool. And I imagine you folks have used Quick Assist before. It's built into Windows 10, and I'm pretty impressed by being able to do that. Other than that, no, nothing else. Nothing really related to Linux.
Okay. Donna, your hand is up. Or is the hand up from the previous?
No, I forgot to put it down, but also Ken is here, but he's looking on my laptop as well. So I'll put my hand down, but I wanted you to know that Ken was here as well. And I am really interested if you can get Windows and Linux to talk together, and I can get my brother printer, then I will throw Windows away and Linux. But I need that printer to work, the scanning, the faxing, and I need a way that I can get everything shared at the moment.
Okay.
Because Ken
All
will
right.
have Windows 11, but he's here.
Well, I know you don't have a lot of time tonight, so I'll try to get the brother covered and get into the networking when we get that done. Okay, so I'm going to switch to this guy again. Okay, to start with, it was interesting to find out that Pop OS, like Mint, saw my printers, just as Sean said. And unlike Mint, it doesn't really show them up here. which is what I see when I go to Mint's panel and I'm down in the lower corner, you can see the printers showing. So before I started, I wanted to know, all right, what printers are actually present by default. So what I did is I went into LibreOffice and I went into Write. And I said, okay, I want to print this. And I could see this is my color printer in my wife's office on Wi-Fi. This is my wife's multifunction printer next to her color printer. And this is my brother multifunction printer in this office where I'm sitting. So this is out of the box, just as Sean said, they're there. Okay, then I said, well, okay, this,
Are they all connected by Wi-Fi?
yeah, they're all just, when we did the installation, we downloaded the software from Brother for Windows. We set it up to be Wi-Fi only. None of them are connected by a cable. And it just saw them. It saw them on the Wi-Fi network, on the router.
Mine's plugged into my desktop. It's
Oh,
not,
USB.
yeah.
On
USB.
USB. Okay.
Is that gonna be different?
Okay, so let's close that. The next question I had was, I don't have any, even though I have an MFC and it has a fax capability, I don't have a landline. Everything I've got is voice over IP. So I don't have any use for the fax, but I do scan. So most of my scanning is from my Windows computer right now, but I thought, all right, let's see if I have a scanner. So let's look for scan. Okay. So there is an app called Document Scan. If I remember correctly, and I may be wrong, it was not on my Mint computer by default when I looked for it. So maybe Ken can look while we're doing this and see if Document Scanner actually shows up in the list of applications. But at any rate, there's the scanner. So now it says it's searching for scanners. Let's see. Does it indeed find my scanner on the network? Aha. Okay, so it finds the scanner on the 2 of the 3. All right, that's my wife's computer, and this is my wife's printer, and this is my printer. So in Pop! OS, I don't have to install any drivers, but in Mint, when I did the same thing, the document scanner did not show up, did not show my my scanner. So I had to go ahead and download. So let's see what I did. Okay, so let's go to brother, come on, Linux SIG. I thought I bookmarked it, but maybe I didn't. Let me just look here and see if I've got a tab that's open. I think this is it. I've got that box in the way. Let me just change that. There we go. No, it's not showing up. Just a moment. Downloads. There we go. Okay. This is what I wanted to show. Okay. So if you go to brother.com, then you go to support. Then you go to support and downloads. It will ask you to put in your printer. And then when you select downloads, by default, especially if you're doing this from a Linux computer, it will default to Linux. And it even shows Debian, which I found interesting, but it does have the other options. And plus it's got Mac and Windows and iOS and Android and so on. So from this page, you have a download tool, and it says it will install LPR, whatever that is, cup swapper driver, and scanner driver for scanner models. So it looks like this is the complete thing. Now, you can just get the printer driver, but I don't really need it because so far, even Mint has seen it. But Donna, if yours didn't, this whole package should do it for you, but also the printer driver alone. Then they have a whole bunch of different scanner drivers for Linux, especially if you were in the 32-bit for some reason. If you want to have a button on the front of the printer, scan and send it to your Linux computer, this would be the software that you would put on your Linux computer. I chose not to do that because typically I'll start a scan from the computer I'm on instead of from standing in front of it and pressing a button. But that's also a possibility. And then if you are using the fax, here is the fax driver. And I did not download that, but it's here. So, okay, so what you do then is you choose this, which I believe is the second one. Well, I can just do it here. And it's going to offer to download it. Okay. And read before downloading. Let's see if that's on here or not. Okay, you agreed to the EULA. Okay, so it's going to download. I've already done it, so I'm not going to download it again. It's going to download by default to the downloads folder, Linux-BR printer-installer-2.2.3-1.gz. This means that it's a compressed archive. It's like a zip. And it says it's a type is archive. Okay, so I did this previously, so I don't need to do it. But don't go away from this site because it says, aha, you have got to follow these instructions from the terminal. And there are a bunch of commands that they want you to do. They want you to unzip the printer installer. Well, I decided I'm going to make this easy on myself. And assuming I can get down here and get to it, I guess not. Let's see if I can do it this way. Okay, I'm going to go to my file folders. I'm going to go to my downloads. And here's what was downloaded: Linux BR printer installer 2.2.3-1 GZ. So I just right-clicked on this and I said extract here. That makes it nice and easy. And the resulting is this file. But remember, it said there were other instructions. So when I did this the very first time on my Mint computer, which was my notebook, I double-clicked on it, nothing happened. I said, I wonder if I have to make it executable. I tried to make it executable, and it said, do you want to execute in the terminal? So I said, I think I'd better follow the instructions. So I'm going to go back, and I'm going to see what it says to do next. Okay, so it's saying this will extract it. Okay, so it did extract it. Now it is saying in the terminal, enter this command. Okay, so you can highlight this, but notice it's asking for several things. Okay, it wants you to know, first of all, it wants to know the exact name of your printer. So you need to know that. You need to know that it's an MFC, whatever you've got. Mine is a, I'm looking at it here, MFC-L2750DW. So I have the sheet of paper in front of me, and you can go to your, you can actually go to your printer and print out printer settings if you want to have it, to have the exact machine name. The other thing that I noticed was, well, wait a minute. They want me to type all of this in the terminal plus all these little things that came out when I extracted. I said, you know, I learned long ago that if I rename a file in Windows and it's a long file name, and I give it some nice short name, as long as the process to install it is not requiring the name itself, it might be easier if I make the name easier on myself. So let's just go back again to downloads. And here's my printer. And let's rename this. And let's just call it BR Printer. Yeah, I'll come over here. So I'm just going to call it BR Printer, period. That's going to be the name that I'm going to use in the terminal when I do the installation. Okay, doesn't change anything. The installer is still going to work. The terminal is still going to work. And now I can type in a nice, easy program name, BR Printer. I could have even made it B if I wanted to. Okay, so now I know what this is. Okay, we'll go back. And it looks like I'm ready to run the terminal. So let's see what happens with the terminal when I do this. I'm going to put this up here. Resize this, get it to the side. This, I suppose, would be nice to have the side-by-side stacked and all the rest of that. But let's go ahead and just open the terminal up. Move that over here. Okay, so it wants me to type, and I'm reading right here, bash. And this is the name of the program, which I've just made BR Printer. So I'm just going to type it. It should be nice and easy. So I'm going to type bash BR Printer. Whoops. Bash BR Printer. Now it wants to know the machine name. Let's just get this moved over just a little bit more. Anything else I need besides machine name? Command bash. Ah, it is saying I should be putting sudo in front of this. Okay.
That's right.
So we'll just go back to the beginning. We will insert space, and then we'll jump to the end. Okay, now I can put in the other name. So I am just going to type in MFC-L 2750 DW. So it looks like I've got everything that's there. The driver installation will start, follow the screen instructions. When you see the message, will you specify the device URI? Okay, Donna, if you're using USB connection to that printer and not Wi-Fi, your answer would be no. That is, if under Linux, you're not going to use Wi-Fi to get to the printer. If you're going to take the cable from the printer and plug it in, to the computer, then you would say no. For network users, they would say yes, and the device URI number. Now, this drove me crazy. What is my URI number? I have absolutely no idea. I looked at all the specifications, didn't see anything. I said, I wonder what happens if I don't type it in. Well, interestingly enough, the program gave it to me and I didn't have to, it just said pick it. So I'm going to press enter. Why? Because I'm not in the folder. Okay. There we go.
Isn't that a capital? Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Okay. So now we're going to, yep, go ahead.
You know about auto completion, right? So if you're typing, as you're typing in the terminal,
yeah,
as long as you get to a point where whatever you're typing is unique, just press the tab key and it'll auto complete the
right. And what I did is So you can see I'm using my up arrow, and there's my previous command too.
Yes.
So now, since I'm in the downloads and that's where it is, now we'll try it. Aha, you're going to install the package. So there's the package, MFC, brscan S key. Okay, yes or no? Yes. Oh, all kinds of good stuff. No warranty. Signature of Tycoon 1 April 1989. President
Wow.
of Vice. President of Vice. Okay, whatever. And
Well, 1989, holy mackerel.
yeah, well, it's a Linux driver but this certainly, it must be the program has been around that long, but certainly the drivers for this particular printer aren't that long. I mean, this is a new printer about a year ago. But anyway, notice that now for the do I agree, if you look at, if you can see it, yeah, I can see it on the other screen. It wants a capital Y for yes, not a lowercase y. So I'm going to say yes. Okay, now we're executing a bunch of stuff. So it's going to do its thing. Okay, will you specify the device URI? Well, it told me for network, don't do it. Oh, wait a minute. Did it do that? Let's see. Network use, oh no, choose yes. Okay, so here's where I said, I still don't know what my device URI is, but okay, yes, I'll do it. Why not? Now what? Aha. Here are a bunch of device URIs. So if I come down here, I have an MFC 2750 DW20 series. And it looks to me to be also, it's on local. And oh, and it's got the user ID next to it. So it wants me to specify the user ID. Okay, so there's my user IDs. There is my printer, and it is number 11. So I'm going to type in 11. Okay. Now what? Do I want a test print? Oh, yeah, sure. Why not? We'll see if I get a test print. Wait 5 seconds. And what am I doing now? Yeah, my printer is printing a test page right now. Yeah, sure, I agree. What else? Oh, this is going to be the scanner. Okay. Okay, so now what? And yeah, I agree. Yeah. Now we're putting the scanner scan key in. Enter IP address. Okay, this is why I printed out my printer settings. On my printer settings, it is telling me what my, or it's supposed to be telling me what is my IP address. I'm looking on the page I printed out. Main revision, RAM size. Oh, come on. All right, so I've got to go print out the network page. So I'm going over here to the printer control panel. And I think if I can see it correctly, I should see the menu. Okay, where is the menu? Fax, copy, scan. Wi-Fi, menu, okay.
Mike?
Network, go ahead.
I wouldn't be looking for an IP address, would I?
Yeah, no, not on USB.
Okay.
No, not on USB. I'm going to my TCP IP and, oh,
For Ethernet connected and Wi-Fi, I'll give you a piece of advice I learned decades ago.
sure.
Always set up the printers with a static address. Think of your house or
Yep.
phone number. They're static. Otherwise, they're dynamic. And from time to time, it's called a lease on the IP address. If certain circumstances occur, the IP address of the device will change, and suddenly you can't print or scan anymore.
I agree with you. And in fact, as I told Sean earlier today, 2/3 of my connection problems to my Windows computer was that every time I started it up, my router was giving it a different IP address.
Yep.
And that was causing me some problems. Let
Yeah,
me,
I learned that a long time ago. I don't remember exactly what the source was, but I read an article, I think it was, and I found, hey, the smartest thing to do on printers, scanners, and a few other devices is to make a static address in the setup of the printer itself, so that it has a unique address that is not shared by any other computer.
Where would I even find the place to put that in?
Well,
Well,
you wouldn't
no,
on a
it's
USB.
asking- yeah, on USB, you wouldn't.
Okay, oh, thank goodness. Okay.
Yep. I am looking for it right now on my device. Yep, there it is, configuration. Let's see what it's telling me. Preferences, LAN, okay. Mode select. Photo print scan, simple edition features, advanced mode. Okay, short of going into my router on my other computer and looking for the connections, and I know there's something else that I can look at. I may even be able to do it in Linux and see what my connections are. Okay, so I am going to default out of this at the moment and finish it later because it's already set up anyway. But I would normally type in the IP address of the printer at this point and it would figure doing it. Okay, I just did a Control-C to come out of it. And I think I mentioned it did find it anyway. So let me close that. And let me go to programs, scan.
Oh,
Alright.
another thing, Mike,
Yep.
document scanner is in Mint, at least the version I've got.
Okay,
But I have 5 printers. One's not connected up, but I was working on it. And it recognizes 3 out of 4 automatically in Mint. However, only one of the 3 has the multi-function feature with a scanner, and document scanner did not detect a scanner available.
okay. So it may be that if you then get the driver that we just went through, it might find it.
That's possible. Fortunately, I don't scan that much.
Okay. All right, so that's the procedure. And now we know, and it'll be documented in the video, that when we go through this, we're going to be asked for the IP address. So most printers, and I can't find it right now from my control panel, in addition to having the settings, also have a network setting printout. And for some reason, I couldn't find it. I'm in the middle of doing something and probably just could not see it over in the corner. And I could have gotten, excuse me. All right, so we'll close this guy and we'll stop sharing. Okay, yes, go ahead, Donna.
Thank you for showing that. When I saw all the terminal commands, I kind of went, oh, so I really appreciate you going through it. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, So I just moved these two around. So we just did that, and now we're talking about files. Okay, 8:40. So let's see if I can target 20 minutes to do a real quick review of what I did, what I spent months trying to figure out. We did cover pCloud and Warpinator last month for assisting and sharing files between computers. And this is John Kennedy's recommendation. You know, he basically says, make it easy on yourself, use a cloud storage, you know, like Dropbox or pCloud, Google Drive if you wish, and, you know, tie it in with an application to your computer so that you see it as a drive on your computer, and then just use it to share. I really wanted to make a local area network work. So we, you know, that was my quest. And 2 days ago, the aha light came on along with some help from Sean, and we got, especially with Pop OS, it just started seeing my HP computer when it was online with me doing nothing. And as Sean showed you, it also saw his Synology disk station. And so I followed very similar routine to get the Synology disk station to connect. But as Tim has said, you really need to get your Windows set up first. If you can get Windows set up for its sharing, then you can go to your Linux computer, you can share a folder, and then you can go to the process of viewing it on a Windows computer. So this was the site that I used to start with for network file sharing. So what I'm going to do is go to that site. And I need to switch and go to that site. Okay, so from Pure Infotech, very similar to what Tim had shown, and the step-by-steps are very similar as well. So he says, let's start with File Explorer, and let's go through properties, go through the sharing, add a sharing for everyone. In the permissions, to use the share buttons. Let's see. You can use the advanced settings if, in my opinion, only if you really need to have multiple people on your network and you want different sharing settings for each of them. Like if you had some teens and you didn't want those teens to have access to some of the folders that you've got access to. Because I found I didn't need to use the advanced sharing. It wasn't necessary for me to do it. And they go on to talk about doing it with specific users. Then they talk about, let's see, let's go down here. How to share files over the network without a password. Okay. That so far hasn't worked for me. I did everything he said to do, but I still had to have my Windows password. We got into a little discussion of that today in the APCUG seminar about Microsoft's account password and your Windows login password. Mine's the same because I installed Windows 10 with my Microsoft account. And the only password that I have for my Windows 10 is my Microsoft password. I don't have two different ones. Some people may have different ones. So before you get started with all this process, you want to figure out what is my actual password, even if you're not logging into Windows 10 on a regular basis. If you've bypassed it with previous settings, or if you're using your Microsoft password, but you have a different password actually for Windows. It's important to know this because it's one of the key factors in the sharing process. And if it's not right, it'll fail, among other things. And if you've got 4 or 5 things failing, including IP address, which I found out, you may fail and give up, as I had given up many times. So I did go through this process as well. So what I'm going to do now, since I did it folder by folder, is I'm going to follow these instructions and pick a different folder to share. So let me go back up here, sharing files with the File Explorer. Okay, this is what we did. So open the File Explorer. Okay, and I'm not using a quick access. I don't want to do that. I want to actually use the PC, and all my data is on my data drive, and I have previously shared my documents, and I don't believe I have shared my pictures. So I'm going to pick my pictures, and you can see I got a lot of pictures to share. All right, so let me just slide this down a moment. Okay, navigate to the folder, right click the item, share properties. Okay, and let's bring this up. Okay, so we'll get back to that. Right click, properties, and sharing. Okay. Click the share button. And it says it's not currently shared. Share. Okay. Let's get back to this. Use the drop-down menu to select the user group to share folder. For this guide, select the everyone group. I didn't see that. Let's take a quick, let's make sure I'm not in advanced. No, I'm in sharing. Okay. Okay, so let's look and see. Ah, everyone, good. Okay, and share. It's going down through. I probably should have chosen something without as many folders. So I'm at the top level of my pictures folder with a whole bunch of folders below it. So here we are, taking a few minutes to share. If that's going to take longer, I will switch. Let's see, it is sort of frozen, so don't think it stopped, but it may be working on the, oh, it has. It may not like the fact.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Okay. Okay, the folders shown below were previously shared. Yeah, I tried a number of times. You can replace the current settings with the same setting you just applied to the folder you shared. Yes. Okay, change the settings. Okay, still taking a few minutes. I think John just joined us, and John, what we're doing is we're preparing to share from a Windows 10 computer to a Linux computer across the network. And we're following the instructions from Pure Infotech's website. And that link will be available in the show notes. Okay, let's see. Your folder is shared. You can email someone to link these items, copy and paste. And it's telling me it should share with the name of the computer //asus/pictures. So I think I mentioned earlier in my discussions, I'm having problems and have had problems on this network sharing by computer network name and folder. And I have been successful by sharing the computer's IP address. So anyway, I'm going to write this down, ASUS and pictures with a capital P. We'll give it a shot tonight. We'll see if it works. Okay, done. All right, we're going to move this over here. Let's see, click the add button. Yes. Sharing, let's see, no, we did not, did we do that? We did everyone. I did not change that. Let's go back. I may have to go to custom in order to do it, since I did not say, let me just double check again. Everyone, permission level. So, everyone's not here. Okay. I'm going to have to double check that, and I don't want to go through that share process again. It could be under advanced sharing that I'm going to need to do this, because I wanted full read write, and I may have overlooked it, but let's take a look again. I did not see, I see where it says everyone. I don't know if I missed that and I just went bypass it or not. I would definitely want to have read and write. So I may have to come back and redo it. Okay, confirm the path. Click to close. We got that. Now let's see what it does say about the advanced settings to see if I can force that. Let's just look and see. Share this folder so they're starting over again. Okay, so I don't think I need to do that. But I do want to do the one that talks about sharing without a password to see if I can force that. So we want the network and sharing center. Now in my Windows 10, my control panel doesn't seem to have a network and sharing center anymore. I had to work my way around to get to this screen. So I'm going to come off of this for a second and go to my search. And I'm just going to search for network and sharing center. Network and sharing center. Network and internet. Let's see if that's it. There it is. Okay, we did get to it. Okay. And this is what we were talking about earlier when Tim mentioned this. Let's see if we can get it smaller and then get all the information as well. Okay. Change advanced sharing settings. Okay. And I know what he's going to say is turn on network discovery. Let's see. Password protection sharing, turn off password protection sharing option, and plus. I also had previously turned on network discovery, but as Sean showed us tonight, when he double clicked on Windows Network, it didn't show it. And mine doesn't either, but I still have it turned on. So I wanted to make sure that was there. Okay, and turn on file and printer. Then we go to all networks. Turn on sharing so anyone with network access can read and write files in the public folders. Yeah, that's fine. File sharing. Now this one, I made the encryption at a lower level. I'm not sure if I was ever going to use a 32-bit computer, but I just figured this is on my home network. I'm not really worried about encryption. So I went ahead and this is the default, if I remember correctly. And here's the password protection sharing that he's talking about. And I turned off password protection sharing again, because I'm doing this on my home computer and he's saying the same thing. So I have nothing. If I said turn it on, then I'd have to save it. This is set. So there's nothing here that I've changed. So this is where I would save it. Let's see if there's anything else he's got before. No, that's it. Now, remember, I made the comment when we first started about home group. By default, if you've got a Windows 10 computer with all the updates, your home group is going to be work group. My home group is assist. So I had some additional changes to make in my Linux side and even in my Synology DiskStation side to make sure that when home group was specified for the Samba protocol, that it was set to what I'm using. Everyone else, if you don't dig into it, by default, your home group, if you've got one, is going to be work group. So you don't have to worry about this. If you have an older computer, if you're running Windows 7, if you're running Windows 8, and maybe an early version of 10, then the work group is going to be there and it's going to have the various different folders, and it's going to have a unique password in order to join it. And none of this is actually actively used by Windows 10, other than the fact that in the registry somewhere, the name of your work group is still there, and by default, it's work group. Mine now is assist. So we've done everything necessary to make the computer's folders that I just set up visible on a Linux computer, theoretically. Okay, so I'm going to leave that there. I'm going to stop sharing. And this time I'm going to go to my Mint computer because I've already done it. And I'm going to switch my keyboard and mouse. And I'm going to share my screen. And I am on, let's get this thing out of the way. Okay, what I'm showing on my desktop are two screenshots that I made. I'll show you how I got to them of the file manager and how the file manager looks after it's set up in order to get to the Windows computer. Okay. So the way I did it was pretty much what Sean had shown us in Pop! OS. So we'll go here to the file manager. And I've already previously set up, there we go, previously set up my documents, but I should be able now to say ASUS and pictures based on what it told me that I could do. I got a feeling I'm going to have to do the IP address again for me. I don't know. But at any rate, if I go down here to what I already have, go ahead. I thought I heard a question. Okay, so this is what I previously did. Okay, so here is the IP address of my Windows 10 computer. And here is the specifications that I did for it, the way I filled out the form when you go to adding a new network share. So what I should have been able to do is type in // ASUS, the name of the Windows computer, and then / documents, but it didn't take it. And I should have also been able maybe to type in SMB : // and it still didn't take it. But when we typed in the actual IP address of the Windows computer, it worked. So now we're going to see what happens if I try the same thing with pictures that I just shared. So I'm just going to set this down here for reference. And the way you do that is, and let's just prove it. Let's go to the network and notice that here is my Pop! OS machine. I haven't shared anything yet. Just out of curiosity, what does it show? No, there's nothing yet because I haven't gone into it and shared anything. Come back. And this is the computer I'm on, so it wouldn't be there. But here's your Windows network. To me, I said, turn on identification, let it, broadcast identification. So I should see the Windows network. And I don't. So this is where this squirreliness, comes into this thing. It's not working. Okay, so what I'm going to say instead, we're back here, and I'll just go back home. I'm going to say File, Connect to Server. Okay, so here we are. Here's the dialog. Okay, so I should be able to, as they said, just do // and it's / is for Linux. We'll see. And then I should be able to say pictures. And I should be able to, yep, here, remember I said work group. In Linux, it treats a work group because it's using the SMB, the Samba protocol. It's treating the work group as a domain name. So I'm putting that in here. Okay, and this time I'm not going to type in my username or password because I said, hey, don't require it. Let's see if that works. Nope, it didn't. Okay, so now we'll try it with 192.168.15.114. Remember, I said that had changed on me, and this was driving me crazy because yesterday it was 115 when I solved the problem. All right, so let's see. Everything else, I'm still not putting a log in yet and a username. All right, let's try again. Yeah. Ah, it popped in my name. So it knew that the computer still is requiring a password because it
You
wants
use the
the
same
username.
name on each of your computers?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's probably auto-populating the name from the computer that you're
It could
currently
be.
using.
Yeah, it could be. That's right. When I
It
did,
is,
when
yeah.
I auto-populated on Pop OS, it had CFCS and I had to change it to Mike. Okay, so now I'm going to type in the password that I know is on that computer. Okay, and folder, share. Okay, let's try it. Boom, we're in. Okay, I can now see it. So you can see the variables that are in this thing. They drove me crazy. Do you use the name? Do you use the IP address? Do you put the share that you want here? Do you put the domain up here? The folder, okay, it definitely goes here. And if I said I don't need the passwords, do I have to? And the account, so like I said, it works, but it should work better, but that's what it's doing. Now the question is, can I see it from the other end? Okay, so I now know that's here. Let's see, I've already done it. I can close this. Let's see. I said remember it, if I remember correctly. Yeah, okay. So I'm just, that's the picture. Okay, so I'm going to close those two. Okay, now we got to go in the other direction and we have to actually share something from this computer. Notice that I've already got a documents folder shared on this Linux computer. And I didn't have to go through that long, involved, drawn out thing. Now let me see, what have I got in downloads here? Okay, I got a whole bunch of stuff in here. So let's just take this guy And let's go to sharing options. And let's share the folder. And let others create and delete. And for people without a user account, sure, because it's my network. And that's certainly a lot less things to put in. I'm just going to say, well, I'm just, let me just say, so we can actually see it. Okay, create share. Okay, so it is now shareable. Okay, let's stop sharing the screen. Let's go back to the Windows computer. Okay, we can close this one, I believe. Let's minimize it. Well, let's do it this way. I think I left the file manager open, did I? Yes, I did. Okay, so here we are in the file manager. And I'm going down to, previously I had picked up HP because that's the name, and documents, and you saw that I had shown that it was shareable. So if I look at, and I had created a drive for it. So if you notice, if I look here, these are the, I'm looking at the documents that are sitting in the documents folder on that HP computer. Now we'll go down to the network, and I don't, this is my Synology, and this is my wife's Windows computer. They show up. So not there. What do? I right click and I say map a network drive. And I get this dialog. All right, so I said H is going to be documents. Let's just make drive I. H, J, H, I, there we go. And now I'm not sure if I can browse it or I have to type it in. I think I have to type it in because I don't think I can see it, but let's take a look. Let's see if it announces it and if it actually sees it. Nope, it's still showing me the same two that it had previously. So now I actually have to, I'm going to use the same specification that I used here for documents, except this case, it's going to be downloads. So I'm going to go, or what am I sharing? I'm sharing downloads, am I not? I think
Yes.
so. Yes, downloads. Okay. Folder. So it looks like I got to type / the name of the computer is HP, / the folder is downloads. Okay, reconnect at sign in. I'm not sure what different credentials are, but should connect. So let's see if it does. Boom, I'm in. So there's what we just shared from Linux to Windows, and on the other machine, what we shared from Windows to Linux. So my quest of about 9 months has borne its fruit.
Isn't this all fun?
It is perplexing. It's perplexing.
Well, on the Windows side, honestly, this is part of the reason why I don't use it myself, though I played with it for a while. It's very crude in setting the stuff up on the Windows side. And in a matter of speaking, though it's still there, obviously in 10. Most people didn't know it existed. And those that did ran into the frustrations you ran into just doing it between Windows machines.
Right.
And it's like, why are we bothering with this?
Well, a good example, my wife has a Windows computer in her office here in the house, and she runs Quicken on it and she's a realtor, and she keeps her books and she keeps her logs. And then she clicks backup, and instead of backing it up to something that's in that room or a USB drive that's there, it goes across the network. And at the moment, it comes to this computer that we're on into a backups folder. And I now have a copy of everything that she has on hers. Eventually, all of this is going to go to the Synology. And eventually, I'm not going to be keeping this data drive here. Everything that's on this data drive is going to wind up down on my Synology. And I'm going to have no local data whatsoever. And then the Synology itself is going to does have a USB drive that backs it up. And I've been talking to Sean about also backing it up to the cloud so that I have other, means of backing things up. So essentially, this Windows 10 computer is going to be primarily for programs that need self-contained data. And I'm going to put a virtual machine on it. I'm going to put Mint on it. And then I'm going to start running most of my productivity stuff, except for Quicken, in a virtual machine for Mint, and see if my daily workflow and processing, and if I can use alternative programs, photo editing, music, all of that stuff, if I can be productive as I am now in Windows in a virtual machine environment running Mint. And if that's the case, then I'm going to wipe this whole computer out, and I'm going to put Linux Mint on it unless I get enamored of Pop! OS. And that's going to be its primary purpose. And I'll have a little virtual machine for Windows that only runs Quicken and one or two other things that I need to run. And all my data from both the virtual machine and from whatever is my main machine is going to reside on my Synology. And I'm not going to have to worry about going back and forth between computers. And even my wife's computer is going to do her backups directly to the Synology. So that's the goal. But we've done it. It's documented now on the video. We've gone step by step. The only thing I need to do is go back and double check that share that I just set up and make sure that I gave it write access more than just read access. And I can easily do that.
Mike, it's dinner time in California, so I'm going to buzz off, and thank you for this lead to this website. See how I
You're
proceed.
welcome.
Okay. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
And I think this is a good point to break it off. I had a bunch of other things that we could talk about, but we have gone 2 hours and 13 minutes. The only other thing I want to promote is 7 days from now is November 17th, Linux Q&A, very much like the Windows Q&A today. You should, if you're on APCUG's mailing list, received the link from Judy to register for it. But if not, this particular program will be here with this link so that you can do that, and some of these other links that are out there. No specific agenda for December. We will hold it. We'll probably look into Pop! OS and some of the things that it's doing. And I will probably expand a little bit on these resources and do more interactive kinds of things. And if we're all tied up for the holidays, we'll make it a short meeting, try to shoot for an hour. Last minute closing comments?
Well, for the Chicago group, offhand, haven't made a decision yet. If we'll have the December meeting, Donna brought up that everybody is so busy that generally she thought we ought to skip December in Chicago. So I don't know.
Okay, I will follow that closely. I think we'll do it here, but we may make it shorter.
Yeah.
For those that are interested, the Central Florida Computer Society's main meeting Sunday, Huey Poplock starts it off at 1 o'clock with the Windows Special Interest Group. And he's sent out email, but if you're not on their mailing list, if you'll send me an email, mikeu18@protonmail.com, I'll send you a link to what Huey sends out. And then following that, I'm doing a presentation on browsers and security. And it's kind of my test presentation if APCUG wants to pick it up for one of their January workshops. Okay, guys, thanks for joining us.
Hey, thank you.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Mike. Great job.
Thanks for your help, Sean.
Sure.
You did wonderful. Mhm.
Sounds good.